Hi guys, welcome to the next video on the chapter Making of a Global World. Now, in the previous video we discussed about the pre-modern world. In this video we'll be discussing about the shaping of the world in the 19th century. Now, the 19th century world was dominated primarily by the British civilization and the European colonies. So they were the ones colonizing the world, making imperialism was prevalent all over the world, and they were using it to their advantage. So this also changed the food production pattern in Europe and in the rest of the world as well. So if we look at the 19th century, we would find that all countries were self-sufficient in terms of food. But the demand for food increased due to expansion of the urban centers. So as the urban centers started to increase, the food demand increased, and as the growth of industries increased, the demand for food increased. So a reason for that is that the standard of living was increasing, so the pattern for food increased, changed, and the demand also increased with the growth of industries. So this led to increase in the food prices because the supply was limited. Then earlier the government had also restricted the corn imports. So these are called corn laws. So corn laws were in place to ensure that the imports of corn, so not just corn but wheat as well, so any type of standard food production, that was limited to the domestic consumption as well. So import was restricted. So this was the policy of Britain at that time. Now, when there was abolition of corn laws, this resulted into a situation where food could be imported into Britain more cheaply than it could be produced within the country, because in the rest of the world the food was cheaper. So the import for food could be cheaper than producing it in Britain itself. So the implications were such that the British agriculture was unable to cope with the lower priced imports. Hence, vast lands were left uncultivated because they found it no use to cultivate the land, because they could not compete with the imported food crops. So thousands of men and women flocked to cities because agriculture was not very prevalent. Hence, everyone wanted to come to the cities as they were being thrown out of work in the countryside. Now, on the British consumers, the implication was such that the consumption rose due to lower food prices. Since the prices were low, consumption actually increased. And in the mid-19th century onwards, you could realize that fast industrial growth led to higher incomes. And with higher incomes, more food imports were created. So everyone in the rest of the world wanted to export their food to Britain because the demand in Britain had increased significantly. So in Eastern Europe, you could see Russia, and then in America, then Australia, lands were cleared and food production expanded to meet the British demand, because the British demand had increased so much that it could not be fulfilled, and hence they were specifically targeting the British population. Hence, the other supporting developments that happened was that infrastructure. So infrastructure was such that due to industrial revolution, the railways were built. So they linked the agricultural region to the ports. Hence, the production could be exported to Britain. Then new ship harbors had come up and the old ones were expanded. Hence, faster production and faster exports could be done. Homes and settlements were built to enable people to settle. So when the vast lands of America and Australia were there, so their homes and other settlements were built so that people could come and make that a habitat, and then you cultivate the food crops so that they could be exported to Britain. So this was what was happening there. Then, because all this was happening, the capital flowed from financial centers such as London to various other states like Russia, America and Australia. Then again, demand for labor also increased because we had vast lands, more labor required. Hence, all over the world, around 150 million people are estimated to have migrated for work. So this was the situation created primarily by the Britain's changing food pattern. Now, even in India, we have shifts in West Punjab as well, where the British Indian government built a network of irrigation canals. So West Punjab is basically an area where it is semi-desert. So semi-arid region was there. To make it fertile agriculture land, irrigation canals were built from the various rivers in Punjab. So this supported the agricultural growth in Punjab, which could then be exported to Britain. So this was the situation in by the changing food patterns. Then it was also supported by the various new technologies that were coming up at that time. So you could see that before 1870s, animals were shipped alive from America to Europe because the dead animals would rot away. Hence, animals were slaughtered only in Europe. So live animals took ship space. This was a major problem because live animals had to be given some space as well. Hence, there was a situation where some died on the voyage. Thus, meat was an expensive luxury. So this created a situation because meat was getting costlier. In the 1870s, meat was really costly. Now, as the technology changed, we had refrigerated ships. The biggest technological change in this that's led to a situation where animals could be slaughtered in America itself, and hence only they could be transported as frozen meat. So this situation led to a situation where this required refrigerated ships, but the storage capacity significantly increased per ship because of frozen meat. Hence, this reduced shipping cost and lowered meat prices in Europe. So this was the situation because of a technological change. Now, this is all about the shaping and the various patterns that we are developing in the 19th century. In the next video, we'll be discussing about the Indian trade. Thank you so much.